At Manhattan University, a graduate degree is not out of reach. You'll gain real-world skills, credentials employers value, and connections to New York City's top companies. Choose from their new Master of Science degrees in Healthcare Informatics, Digital Marketing and Analytics, Business Analytics, or Financial Analytics, all built around hands-on learning and industry partnerships. Graduate ready to lead, not just work. Take the next step at manhattan.edu/graduate. Manhattan University. Lead the future.
Listen, all you New Yorkers. Excuse me, taxi.
Okay, we're looking around.
This is the 77 WABC minicast.
Yeah, we got Paul Zuber now.
Well,
of course, with the Business Council. Yeah,
Judge Weinberg, you have a few questions.
Yeah, a lot of stuff in New York.
Zuber.
Paul, welcome back. So there are a whole bunch of things going on in Albany. We have the energy crisis. You have the so-called affordability crisis. They're talking about a wealth tax. They're talking about 25% surcharge on New York City corporations. They have a reparations commission. They have congestion pricing, which has just been upheld by a U.S. District Court judge here in New York City. So how do you sort this out?
What's the good news?
The good news is you got to elect a Republican governor and more members of the Republican legislature. That's what you need.
Well, my God, that's like a Christmas list there.
It's all yours, Paul.
I think you sort it out at one at a time, and I think the first thing that we have to sort out is this whole energy issue. So, as folks may or may not know, the New York Energy and Research Development Agency released a memo talking about this climate law. And they finally, after all the years of complaining about what's it going to cost, they finally told us how much it was going to cost. If you live upstate in a two-car family and you using heating oil, your cost is going to go up over $4,000 annually. Gas prices, because of this law, are likely to spike an additional over $2, about $2.23. Now, this is a conservative estimate.
You mean we're going to be paying the same price California pays?
Yes, we'll be paying the same price. It will be crushing if this law goes in the way it is originally drafted and passed and signed. And the thing that I think is almost mind-boggling is let's stop about who's to blame for this. But when this memo got released, you actually had people say that we should double down on this and we should continue going down the path that we're going down. You had environmentalists who stood up and said, well, this is all because of the gas prices and the grass prices are spiking and this is what's happening. This is a very real affordability issue that's going to impact New Yorkers to the point that if I'm a New Yorker, I'm out of here. All right. You know, an extra $2.23 on top of what gas prices already are at. I mean, what do you do if you're a working class person and, I don't know, you're working at the Walmart or you're working at the Home Depot and you have to drive yourself to work every day. And now someone's telling that I'm going to put an additional over $2 on top of your per gallon gas charge. I'm going to tell you that you're living in a house that you can barely afford. And now I'm going to put an additional $4,000. So a logical person would say, OK, we got to go in and change this law. It's not working.
Wow. You know, by the way, the reparations, there's also a reparations commission, and it's costing, what, $10 million?
$10 million, Paul, $10 million to do a study for reparations that would cost, if they implemented, hundreds of billions of dollars. Yeah. And by the way, they had that same gambit in California, and even Newsom had to walk away from it.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think, and the governor can tell you this because he lived through it for all the years that he was governor. I think one of the biggest problems that you have in New York State, as well as what I just talked about with the energy, is when legislation is passed and you look at what the fiscal implications are, everybody puts to be determined or unknown. There's never an honest look as to what it's going to cost and what it's going to cost the state and what it's going to cost New Yorkers. So when this climate law was passed, it took, what are we on, year 6 or 7 or 8 of the climate law? Now we're finally finding out how much it's going to cost. You mentioned the wealth tax. So, people want to increase taxes on millionaires, which is silly to me because it's an increase on taxes on millionaires to fund New York City. So what do you do when you're in Long Island and Westchester and you make $1 million? So I'm paying extra money so I can fund New York City, which is already given a $1.5 billion bailout by the governor. this is when things kind of get out of control in New York, and this is why we're seeing the exodus.
Right. And sadly, what is it? There was a new poll. It was 1 out of every 3 are saying they're considering fleeing. 1 out of every 3. I saw 1 out of every 3. Yeah. Isn't that amazing? That's frightening. And Paul, thank you very much. We really appreciate it.
Thank you. I appreciate it. And you guys have a great day.
Yeah. Pray for New York. Wow.
Hey, let's bring in Peter King.
Yep.
If you're looking to create, grow, and sustain your wealth, download and subscribe to the Pain Points of Wealth podcast at BeBullish.com with Bob, Ryan, and Chris Payne. It's your podcast for market insights, money tips, and real talk on the economy. Download and subscribe at BeBullish.com.